Chapter 51. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was very happy, looked at by Jinyi's questioning eyes. Tsunade began to blush. Don't look at it, the slug sage said, I have no talent. Got it. The truth, with Tsunade's personality, she shouldn't give up even if she has poor talent. It seems that she has no talent in this area at all. No wonder she was so guilty when talking about this. It's not that she doesn't want to learn, but she really can't learn it, because this thing requires too much talent and is very dangerous. If you are not careful, you will die. I don't know how different the mode of learning fairy arts in the wet bone forest is from that of Myaboku Mountain. Bang! Tsunade quickly formed a seal, slapped her palm on the ground, and a palm-sized slug appeared on the ground. Tsunade-sama, do you have something to talk to me about? A clear female voice sounded in the living room. The slugs in the wet bone forest are different from the toads in Myaboku Mountain and the snakes in the Ryuchi cave. There is only one slug in the wet bone forest, and that is the slug sage. The little slug summoned by the spirit is the split body of the slug sage, which is equivalent to the individual differentiated from his body. The size of the summoned slug is related to the chakra used. The more chakra is used, the bigger the summoned slug is. If you don't look at the appearance and just listen to the voice of the slug sage can definitely make people mistake it for a peerless beauty. It's a pity. This is a slug, a very big slug. Tsunade glared at Jinyi angrily. I want him to sign a summoning contract with the slug sage. I hope the slug sage can help me check whether this guy can learn the fairy arts of the wet bone forest. Didn't you say you didn't want to sign a summoning contract? I want you to sign it. By the way, check if you have the talent to learn the fairy arts of the wet bone forest. After the check, if you don't have the talent, I will laugh at you for a whole year. Can I not sign it? With the reincarnation eye, Jinyi is not very eager to learn fairy arts. After all, learning this thing is very dangerous. If you are not careful, you don't know how you died. Why take the risk? No, it must be signed and tested. Tsunade's temper came up. She would never allow Jinyi to laugh at her with this matter. There is really nothing I can do about you. Jinyi shook his head helplessly, raised his hand, bit his finger, and pressed the handprint on the summoning scroll. Speaking of which, this summoning scroll was left by Hashirama Senju, but unfortunately Hashirama Senju's would escape was too abnormal, so the big slug had no chance to play at all. The slug sage's healing ability was not as fast as Hashirama Senju's sage's body recovery. Speed. Please wait for a moment, Master Jinyi. After the contract was signed, the slug summoned returned to the wet bone forest, and then reverse summoned Jinyi and Tsunade to the wet bone forest. The wet bone forest is not a holy place, at least it doesn't look like it. There are bare rocks and trees everywhere, and these trees are only left with branches and trunks. There are so many slugs all over the mountains. People with intensive phobia will definitely be scared to death when they see this scene. In the center of the wet bone forest, there is a very huge slug, which is the slug sage. All the slugs in the wet bone forest are its split individuals. So big. Jinyi stood on the ground covered with mucus, looked up at the slug sage, which was bigger than a mountain, and gestured with his hands. He felt that the slug sage's body was definitely bigger than the Ninetails. Hello, little Tsunade. The slug sage moved his huge body, lowered his head and greeted Tsunade. Hello, slug sage. Tsunade responded with a smile, but Jinyi felt that the old woman Tsunade seemed a little guilty. Did she do something wrong to the slug sage? Hello, my name is Slug Sage. Slug Sage looked down at Jinyi. The chakra aura on you is a little strange. I remember it appeared many years ago. How long ago was it? That when Kaguya Akatsuki planted the sacred tree, the three slug sages, the white snake sage, and the toad sage from the three holy places already existed. The toad sage also helped the six-path sage to practice fairy arts, encouraged him, and let him rebel against his mother. It can be said that the shadow of the three holy places is indispensable in the drama of the six-path brothers and Kaguya Akatsuki's mother and son. It's just that only the toad sage came forward at that time. Slug Sage, we are not here to talk about stories. I asked you to help him test whether he can learn the fairy arts of the wet bone forest. Slug Sage fell into memories. For a long time. After a while, Tsunade had no choice but to interrupt it. Sorry, little Tsunade, I thought of something else. Since he has signed a spiritual contract with the wet bone forest, I will help him test it. Child, are you ready? The slug sage lowered his mountain-like head. Tsunade quickly retreated far away, then clasped her hands under her chest, with an expression of watching a good show. Are you laughing at me for not having talent? You will know how powerful it is later. Slug sage, what should I do? Shit. As soon as Jinyi said this, the slug sage's huge face came up and opened his big mouth to swallow him. Feeling that he was wrapped in a sticky liquid, Jinyi was stunned. Who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? Ha ha ha. Jinyi was scared to death, and then was swallowed by the slug sage. Tsunade, who was watching the fun, burst into laughter. Finally someone tasted the despair she had felt. She will never forget the feeling of being swallowed by the slug sage. Her whole body was covered with sticky and slippery mucus. That feeling is unforgettable. Tsunade, who tried it once, got goosebumps all over her body when she thought of the scene at that time. Now it's Jinyi's turn. No, is this how you learn fairy arts in the wet bone forest? Jinyi, who was covered with mucus and couldn't move his fingers, was very upset. This feeling was really terrible. Not long after, a shock came from under his feet. Jinyi flew up like a monkey, flew from the mouth of the slug sage to the sky, and fell heavily to the ground. Fortunately, there was a group of small slugs on the ground to catch him. Otherwise, a fall from such a height would definitely be very painful. At this moment, Jinyi was covered with mucus, as if he had just been fished out of sticky noodle soup. The most unbearable thing was that the mucus had a strange smell. Ugh! Jinyi retched on the spot. Ha 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 ha. Tsunade didn't care whether she would get her clothes dirty. She sat on the ground holding her stomach and patted the ground while laughing. Jinyi's appearance was simply amazing, and she couldn't stop laughing. It's just a test. Is it necessary to be like this? Laughing ass. Ha ha ha. The gloating laughter became louder. Little Tsunade, he has a good talent. Slug Sage didn't understand what Tsunade was laughing at, and it didn't seem to be anything funny. After all, slugs are big slugs, and slugs can't feel the laughter of humans. Chapter 52. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were very happy. Ha ha ha, hiccup, he has a good talent. Tsunade, who was laughing wildly in the last second, was choked in the next second. Her eyes widened and she asked, Slug Sage, are you sure he has a good talent? Yes, his talent is very good, not worse than that of Hashirama. If he is willing to work hard, he will definitely learn the fairy arts of the wet bone forest. Slug Sage nodded and confirmed. He also brought out Hashirama Senju for comparison. Jinyi's talent in learning the fairy arts of the wet bone forest is about the same as his grandfather's, so doesn't that mean the clown is actually me? After discovering that the clown is actually me, Tsunade couldn't laugh anymore. Tsunade knows exactly who her grandfather, Hashirama Senju, is. The title of the god of ninja is not for nothing, but is recognized by the ninja world. Jinyi's talent in learning immortal arts can be compared with Hashirama Senju, which means that Jinyi has a high probability of learning the wet bone forest immortal arts. What should I do if I regret it? Tsunade's mentality at this time is that she is afraid that men are not good enough, and she is also afraid that men are too talented, which will make her look stupid. After all, talent is certified by the Slug Sage. Wait a minute, I want to know how to learn the wet bone forest immortal arts. If someone else heard these words from the Slug Sage, they would definitely be so happy that they would fly away on the spot, but Jinyi was very calm. He wanted to know the steps and process of learning. If learning immortal arts means being swallowed by the Slug Sage, he would rather not learn it. He didn't want to feel that terrible taste again. The slug immortal is just a slug, not a human being, and doesn't know what makes humans funny or disgusting. For slugs, being covered in mucus is the best state. Once it dries, it means they will be injured. Unfortunately, slugs like to be covered in mucus, but humans can't, not to mention being swallowed by a big slug and wrapped in it. That taste is simply ecstasy. The slug immortal obviously didn't know what Jinyi was worried about, but answered seriously, It's very simple. When you meditate on the ground, there will be little slugs lying on you to help you absorb natural energy. The little slugs lying on you can not only help you absorb natural energy, but also prevent the impact of natural energy. To learn immortal arts, you must first absorb natural energy, mix natural energy with physical energy and spiritual energy, and reach a balance point. It is very difficult to find this balance point. Most people died tragically because of practicing immortal arts, and they fell at the step of balancing energy. If you just absorb natural energy, the threshold is not that high. A large number of small slugs lying on your body can not only help you get started and absorb natural energy, but also help absorb the unbalanced natural energy to prevent natural energy riots. There is only one result of natural energy riots, that is, turning into a stone statue. Whether it is the wet bone forest, Myaboku mountain or Ryuchi cave, the fairy arts of the three holy places are the same. If there are problems during learning, they will turn into stone statues. There are quite a few stone statues in Myaboku mountain. Just like the toad oil in Myaboku mountain. Yes, but toad oil is harmful to the body, but the little slugs will not. They will help you very carefully and absorb the natural energy. The slug fairy continued. Hearing this, Jinyi breathed a sigh of relief. If it was just a bunch of little slugs crawling on his body, he could accept it. But if learning fairy arts required the slug sage to swallow him into his stomach, he would rather not learn it. Again, that kind of terrible taste, once tasted is enough. Jinyi will never touch it a second time. After agreeing on a time with the slug sage, Jinyi and Tsunade were sent back to Konoha. Fuck. That as soon as he stood on the floor, Jinyi slipped and almost fell flat on his face. The wet mucus all over his body was really uncomfortable. Slugs like these things, but humans can't accept them, unless they are some perverts. Jinyi rushed into the bathroom without even taking clothes. He needed to scrub hard and wanted to wash off these disgusting things quickly. Is my talent really a mess? Tsunade sat on the sofa like a lost soul, still doubting her life. After a year of guarding the border, Jinyi just returned to the village and needed to rest for a while. His work at the hospital was suspended, and learning fairy arts was scheduled for after the new year. Jinyi, get up. Early in the morning, Kushina ran to Jinyi's room, stood in front of the bed, and called him softly. Fortunately, last night that I didn't sleep with Tsunade in my arms, otherwise it would be noisy if Kushina ran in. Tsunade, who was hit hard, planned to be alone and quiet. Kushina, are you up so early? Jinyi raised her hand and rubbed her head. It's not early anymore. Kushina glanced at the window, and her two little hands pulled Jinyi's wrist and pulled hard. Jinyi, get up quickly, we have to go to the market to buy things, and we have to marinate the meat when we come back, which is very time-consuming. Putting on thick clothes, holding Kushina's little hand and walking out of the house, Jinyi yawned in the cold wind. Sure enough, you shouldn't get up early in the winter. It's most comfortable to curl up in the quilt and seal yourself up and sleep in. It's a pity that I promised Kushina yesterday to treat her friends to barbecue, so I have to get up early to prepare. Kushina, are you here to buy vegetables again today? Kushina. It's funny to say that because she often goes to the market, she has become familiar with the aunties selling vegetables in the market. When they saw her coming, the vegetable and meat sellers' eyes were green. Because Kushina is a little rich woman, she buys a lot of vegetables every time she goes shopping, and the vegetable sellers in the market like to do business with such little rich women. She is cute, polite, sweet-mouthed, and most importantly, rich. She doesn't like to bargain. Stop. Why don't you move the market back home? You can't do this even if you have a refrigerator. Kushina's posture of buying vegetables made Jinyi sweat on his forehead. This girl is too careless. She really plans to buy a lot of things back home after being fooled by others. Everyone is too enthusiastic. Kushina smiled embarrassedly. Jinyi gave her a slap on the head and scolded. What do you mean by too enthusiastic? They wish you could take over the market. Follow me, I'll buy, and you're not allowed to talk. Oh. After being hit on the head, Kushina's little mouth pouted so high that it could almost hang an oil bottle, and her face was full of grievances. Fortunately, the little girl was very obedient, followed Jinyi obediently, and stopped talking nonsense. Being a good follower, after buying things, the two came to the ramen restaurant for breakfast. As for Nawaki and Tsunade, if there was nothing important, the two siblings would probably sleep for a long time. Huh, it smells so good. It seems that as long as she is with Jinyi, Kushina's face is always smiling. The little girl ate very happily. After eating and drinking, she took Jinyi's hand and skipped home. Looking at Kushina jumping around like a little rabbit, Jinyi suddenly felt like he was raising a daughter. She needs all kinds of education, all kinds of coaxing, and all kinds of companionship. After returning home, Jinyi gave Kushina a task, which was to call Tsunade and Nawaki to work. Chapter 53. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were so busy that they had to wait for a while. Ah. Why? I want to sleep a little longer. Soon, there was a wailing in Nawaki's room, and Jinyi, who was washing and cutting meat, laughed. It was useless for Nawaki to go crazy when he met a sister like Kushina. He couldn't bear to hit her or scold her, and most importantly, he might not win even if he hit her. Even though Nawaki was a few years older than Kushina, the outcome of the fight was still unknown. Don't underestimate Kushina just because she is young. Under the education of Jinyi and Tsunade, the strength of the blood-red pepper was not comparable to that of the same period in the original book. Why doesn't my sister have to work? Shingshu sat on a small stool, looking miserable, and slowly put the meat on the bamboo sticks. What a soul-searching question. Jinyi smiled and asked, are you sure you want to know why your sister doesn't have to work? Is there anything wrong with this? Shingshu was stunned and nodded subconsciously. Then Jinyi shouted upstairs. Tsunade, Shingshu asked you to roll down and work. Are you serious? You think my sister didn't hit me hard enough, right? Shingshu was already confused, holding the meat in his left hand and the bamboo stick in his right hand. His mind was in a mess. Don't. Brother, I'm calling you brother, don't shout, my sister will kill me. She had a dark face last night, and she was in a bad mood. Let her sleep more, I've done all her work. Shingshu, who was full of desire to survive, jumped up anxiously and begged Jinyi to stop shouting. If Tsunade really gets into a fight, he will definitely be the one who suffers the most. You are such a dog. Why did you mention my name when you asked my sister to do the work? You said that. I didn't force you. No, I did it on my own will. It has nothing to do with you. Nawaki tried to force out an ugly smile. Jinyi was already laughing in his heart. You want to be lazy, little guy. I can't deal with you. Nawaki, who was worried about being beaten by his sister, could only bite the bullet and finish the rest of the work. When everything was almost ready, Kushina came back with her friends. Jinyi, I'm back. Pushing the door open, Kushina happily ran into the living room, followed by three people. The first one is Uchiha Mikoto, the white moonlight in Nawaki's heart. The second one is the yellow-haired Minato Namikaze, a shy sunny handsome boy, and the third one, Fuck, who brought Hyuga Hinata to my house. Seeing the other person's appearance, Jinyi was shocked. He also understood why Kushina said not to be angry with this friend. Because the other person is a member of the Hyuga clan like him, and this girl who looks 90% like Hinata is also a member of the main family. She looks very much like Hinata, and she is also a member of the main family. Could it be that this person will become the wife of the clan leader in the future, or Hinata's mother? Hello, senior, I am Uchiha Mikoto. Among the three, the yellow-haired one smiled embarrassedly and scratched his head, and Hyuga Mihue looked at Jinyi with a complicated look. On the contrary, the Uchiha little talent introduced herself generously. Hello, my name is Hyuga Shizuka, I'm Kushina's friend and her brother, welcome to visit. Shizuka smiled and invited them to sit down. Kushina happily went to pour water. After the three of them sat down, Shizuka looked at Hyuga Mihue, who didn't have the caged bird curse seal on her forehead. Really looks like. But what did the Hyuga clan think, daring to let the main family make friends with Kushina? It would be fine in school, but also dare to let them contact privately and visit. The third Hokage group is not so easy to talk to. Hello. Tsunade, who had just woken up, yawned, greeted the three guests, and made a circle gesture in response to Shizuka's puzzled eyes. Shizuka suddenly realized, the F4 group is not easy to talk to, and they advocate not letting Kushina contact some sensitive people in private. Uchiha and Hyuga people belong to this category. As a result, Shimura Danzo, the main force of the Eagle brand, was still in the Umbu prison, and Akimichi Tofu was forced to take the position of assistant to the Hokage. He still had power in his hands, and he represented the Ino-Shikacho and some neutral ninja families and stood on Tsunade's side, with Akimichi Tofu playing tricks in the middle, and without Shimura Danzo, the main force, the third Hokage, Udatane Koharu, Mito Kato and others could not target Kushina at all. Without Shimura Danzo, the third Hokage and others would never bring such a thing to the table, so Kushina had the greatest freedom. Except that she could not leave the village, there would be no restrictions in other aspects, including making friends. The Hokage office building had no objection, and the Hyuga clan would naturally not be blocked. They wished that Hyuga Mihue would get along with Kushina more. After all, Tsunade stood behind Kushina. The Hyuga clan really needed a big man to help them stand up. You are from the elder line of the main family, right? Uchiha Mikoto was decent and generous, and did not seem restrained. The little yellow-haired man was not an introvert, and soon started chatting with Nawaki. Only Hyuga Mihue sat quietly on the sofa, looking very restrained, so Jinyi took the initiative to talk to her. Yes, senior. Hyuga Mihue stood up quickly, and she did not see the arrogance and prejudice unique to the main family. Of course, in front of Tsunade, even the people of the Hyuga clan couldn't be arrogant. Don't be nervous, I told Kushina that her friends are my friends, and we are all family members, just treat it as visiting a friend's house. Yeah. Hinata Mihue nodded her head embarrassedly, and a hint of red gradually appeared on her fair skin. It may be a blood problem. The skin of the Hyuga clan is whiter than that of ordinary people. When they are emotionally excited or shy, they are also prone to blushing. TSK, not only does she look so much like Hinata, but her personality is also so similar. She blushed without noticing. Nawoshu, come to work. After saying hello, Jinyi called Nawoshu. Senior, I'll help too. Compared to the somewhat reluctant Nawoshu, the little yellow-haired boy knows the ways of the world very well. Look, he didn't need Jinyi to take the initiative to speak, and he took the initiative to run up to help. Namikaze Minato took the initiative to help, and Nawaki, who was called, could only follow obediently, looking at the tall and short, one with a smile on his face and the other with a bitter face. Jinyi couldn't help but sigh. No wonder the little yellow-haired boy could become the fourth-generation Hokage. No wonder they say that people who love to laugh will not have bad luck, but... Nawaki, you should be more careful, a small detonating tag has given you your life. Chapter 54. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The grill was set up quickly with the help of Namiki and Minato. Namikaze. Jinyi lit the firewood, then poured a lot of charcoal on it. After the charcoal was lit, he put the marinated meat on the grill. As the charcoal fire baked, the marinated meat soon gave off an attractive aroma. Namiki and Minato. Namikaze, who were standing in the yard to help, had already begun to swallow their saliva. It smells so good. The little yellow-haired boy praised seriously. He raised his head and smiled at Jinyi. Jinyi smiled and nodded, then knocked on Namiki's head. Ouch, what are you doing? Confused, Naoki held his head and loudly asked Jinyi why he hit him. Look at others, then look at yourself. Don't blame your sister for punishing you all day long. If you keep going like this, all you will have in your mind is Shurshur. Shurshur, what does that mean? Minato. Namikaze didn't react. Naoki's face flushed instantly, and he jumped up high on the spot. Don't say it, I'll call you brother, okay? Don't say it. Kushina's friends are visiting today. If others know that Naoki likes Shurshur, it would be so embarrassing. Minato. Namikaze and Hyuga Mihue are fine, they have nothing to do with Naoki, but Uchiha Mikoto is different. This is the white moonlight in his heart, and this white moonlight is also his classmate. It's good to know that you are embarrassed. If you know that you are embarrassed, do less of these things in the future. When you grow up, you can play however you want, and no one will care about you. Jinyi finally understood that Shingshu was a shameless boy. He admitted his mistakes on the spot after being beaten. I admitted my mistakes, but I will do it again next time. To deal with a brat like him, you have to use some more special means. Jinyi bent down and whispered, you don't want Uchiha Mikoto to know about your dirty tricks, right? Are you a devil? Shingshu's eyes widened. What are you talking about? It seems to be quite profound, but I just can't understand it. The confused little yellow-haired boy habitually scratched his head. and his big eyes kept sweeping around Yili and Shizuka. I want to participate, but I don't know what the other party is talking about, it's confusing. I know, I won't do these things in the future, okay? Shizuka blushed and gritted his teeth to promise, little guy, you know how powerful it is now. Don't just stand there, go get the vegetables and the kimchi in the cabinet. Oh. Shizuka shrugged his shoulders and walked weakly into the house. He felt that his lifeline was held by Yili. Compared to Shizuka, he was more afraid of social death. Once the things he did with Jiraiya spread to the class, he, Shizuka, would not have to live as a human being in the future. It smells so good, Yili, can we eat? Smelling the tempting smell of barbecue, Kushina pulled Uchiha Mikoto and Hinata Mihue out. Yili smiled slightly and reminded, it's almost done, but you have to move the chairs and tables out first, and you can start right away. Go now. As the seasoning was sprinkled on the skewers, Kushina couldn't help it anymore and turned around and ran into the house. Smells so good, so delicious. Mei-hui, this is also delicious, you should eat more. Misaki, there is also this, Yili said that eating it will make your skin whiter. Little yellow hair, you should eat more. Can you not call me little yellow hair? Holding a skewer in one hand and juice in the other, Minato Namikaze showed a burdened smile. In fact, he didn't like the name of little yellow hair, but Kushina liked to call it that, and over time, Minato Namikaze had to follow her. In addition to skewers, there are also large pieces of grilled meat, grilled fish and the like. Yili sat next to Minato Namikaze and asked with a smile, Kushina, this girl must have lost her temper a lot in school. Not bad. Minato Namikaze's smile was a little unnatural, because the scene of the blood-red pepper beating classmates had already appeared in his mind. You kid, you really lied with your eyes open. Yili laughed and patted Minato Namikaze's shoulder. Treating friends with delicious barbecue, Kushina was like a happy little butterfly, running around and chatting with her three friends. It's rare for this kid to be quiet for a day. Kushina was happy. As a sister, Tsunade was also in a good mood. She sat next to Yili with a bottle of wine and glanced at the seeing rope tree eating barbecue quietly. She was very surprised. Based on her understanding of her brother, rope tree should not be so quiet at such a lively moment. Yili held back her laughter, leaned close to Tsunade's ear, and whispered. I just told him that if he continues to mess around with Jiraiya, I will tell Uchiha Mikoto about him. That's it? Looking back at Uchiha Mikoto who was chatting with Kushina, Tsunade suddenly had a headache. She would definitely be happy that her brother had a girl he liked, but this girl was from Uchiha, which was a bit problematic. After all, Senju and Uchiha had too many blood debts in the past. Do you think he has a chance? No hope, just pure love. Yili shook her head. Then this kid is quite pitiful. Tsunade began to gloat. It seems like someone is saying something bad about me. Rope Tree, who was eating barbecue, suddenly raised his head. He felt his ears were burning. He didn't know why. Could it be my sister? Rope Tree subconsciously looked toward Tsunade, but saw Tsunade and Shizuka talking in a low voice. It didn't look like they were talking about him. Was it my illusion? Rope Tree shook his head and felt that he had guessed wrong. Tsunade was his sister. How could she say bad things about him behind his back? After the barbecue was done, Shizuka took the barbecue and returned to the living room with Tsunade. As for the yard, it would be better to leave it to the children. There were meat and vegetables, as well as fruits and drinks. Just eat your fill, have fun. As Shizuka and Tsunade left, the atmosphere in the yard was indeed much more lively. Have you thought about the teacher? Let's go with Jiraiya. Although she was not very happy, Tsunade still chose Jiraiya. Relax, Jiraiya has no other shortcomings except lust. Besides, Rope Tree is almost turning into Jiraiya's shape now, so it may not be a bad thing for them to be together. Can he speak? What do you mean Rope Tree has turned into Jiraiya's shape? The more I hear this, the more it doesn't make sense. Tsunade rolled her eyes at Yili unhappily, took 2 sips of wine from the bottle, and then stretched her body. No need to go to work, just lie at home and rest. It's really comfortable to have wine and meat. Are you still hopeful? Yili has given up hope on Tsunade. It's probably harder to expect Tsunade to correct some of her habits than to kill her. Forget it, let her be. Jinyi emphasized Jiraiya and made Jiraiya the teacher of rope tree, not targeting Orochimaru. In fact, Orochimaru is very good to rope tree, and can be said to be a very good teacher, but Jinyi still hopes that rope tree can avoid the bad luck of being bombed by the detonating talisman. Throw rope tree to Jiraiya. Who knows, rope tree and little yellow hair might become fellow apprentices in the future. After eating and drinking, Tsunade went back to her room to take a nap. Chapter 55. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two sisters went out shopping together. Kushina went out shopping with her two little sisters, and Namikaze Minato, who had nothing to do, got together with Namikaze Minato. They sat on the ground and talked for a while, and then ran away hand in hand, looking at the backs of the two boys like thieves. Jinyi could only say that he hoped Namikaze would not take Xiao Huangmao to some strange places or buy some strange books. Namikaze has no money. Oh, that's okay. After all, Xiao Huangmao is also a poor guy, and he is not Namikaze, so it is impossible for him to spend his pocket money to buy the emperor's uncle. In this case, let them make a fuss. Not long after the group of naughty children dispersed, a special guest came to the house. Jinyi-kun, long time no see. Looking at the smiling Orochimaru, Jinyi opened the door and invited him in. I haven't seen you for so long, I thought you regretted it. Do you think I will? When Orochimaru thought about taking the puppet apart for research, he was excited. He didn't want to miss such an interesting research. He didn't show up for so long just to make money. Now that his wallet is full, Orochimaru will naturally visit. He took out a scroll and put it on the table. Orochimaru put away the smile on his face and said seriously, Jinyi, 10 million taels, I need 3 puppets. It has to be you, Orochimaru. Hearing this price, Jinyi wanted to give Orochimaru a thumbs up. The boss is generous. But he still shook his head. No, I can only give you 2. 3. It's not easy to make money. Orochimaru certainly doesn't want to suffer a loss. He has forgiven Jinyi's large debt before. It's a blood loss to buy 2 puppets with 10 million taels. If it weren't for the fatal attraction of Shizuka's puppet to him, Orochimaru didn't want to spend this money. 2. 3. 2. After a struggle, Orochimaru still didn't want to give in, so Shizuka had to nod and agree. Okay, 3, but let me be frank, whether you do research or play with it yourself, don't come to me if it breaks. Don't ask for a refund or something. I, Hyuga Shizuka, don't have a refund service here. If they are all broken, I will continue to buy. Orochimaru didn't care about these. He could see that Shizuka wanted money now. Since money can solve the problem, why bother too much? Just buy it again if it breaks. In the past 6 months, he has made a lot of money, and there will be a steady stream of dividend income in the future, plus the rewards for various tasks, and the development of some new projects. There will definitely be no shortage of money. It can be said that the future 3 ninjas will not lack money as long as they are willing to work hard. On the surface, Jiraiya is the richest man, because the uncle he wrote is very popular and has the highest income. Secondly, he performs more tasks than Tsunade and Orochimaru. This does not mean that Orochimaru and Tsunade do not make as much money as Jiraiya, as long as Orochimaru does not engage in some messy research, do some weird and expensive experiments, and honestly works as a research and development personnel and performs tasks honestly, his income will definitely exceed Jiraiya, not to mention Tsunade, as long as she stands up and shouts, not to mention Konoha. Even the Land of Fire and many other countries are willing to waive money to see her for medical treatment. Don't underestimate the speed at which medical ninjas make money. As long as they have strong medical skills and a black heart, they will definitely make a lot of money. Then pick 3 yourself. Jinyi threw out a scroll, indicating Orochimaru to choose for himself. There are 3 types of puppets made by Jinyi. One is a reconnaissance puppet, one is a consumption puppet, and the other is a main battle puppet. The main battle puppets are the strongest and the most numerous. After all, the materials he uses to make puppets are all top-quality goods, and there are fewer reconnaissance puppets and consumable puppets. Consumable puppets are made of scraps and are not that valuable. Opening the scroll and glancing at the puppets in the scroll, the smile on Orochimaru's face gradually became strange. It's interesting. Jingi-kun is indeed an interesting person. Just be happy, choose, you can only choose 3, making a 3-point gesture. Jingi signaled Orochimaru to choose quickly and not waste time, a wolf, a small wild boar, and a crow. Except for the crow, the materials for making the wolf and the wild boar seemed to be hunted by Orochimaru himself. As a result, after becoming puppets, they returned to Orochimaru at an exaggerated price. The 3 puppets came out of the scroll and walked to Jingi's side as soon as possible. Standing, Orochimaru asked curiously, "Can I control them?" "Sorry, no, only I can control these puppets, but don't worry, the puppets will not attack you, and will even cooperate with your research. Even if you dismantle them, they will not resist. Since it is selling goods, the quality of the goods must be guaranteed." Jingi also told Orochimaru frankly that only I can control these puppets, so don't have any bad ideas. Of course, if you can study the method of controlling puppets, I admire you. Orochimaru smiled confidently and took the things away. He couldn't wait to start researching. As for Jingi's statement that only he could control the puppets, Orochimaru didn't believe it very much. He was confident that he could crack the secret. Puppets with life must be very exciting to study. Orochimaru hurried away, still full of confidence. Jingi could only hope that he would not get stuck in a dead end and finally make himself autistic. It's okay to be autistic, but I'm afraid that Orochimaru will start to step into the darkness. That would be terrible. However, Shimura Danzo is still imprisoned in the Umbu prison and can't come out in a short time. Without Shimura Danzo to attract him with money and resources, the possibility of Orochimaru stepping into the darkness will be greatly reduced. Without the cover of Shimura Danzo, the old scoundrel, it is not so easy for Orochimaru to conduct human experiments in the village. Senior. Seeing Jingi coming, the little yellow-haired boy immediately stood up and greeted him. After the last dinner, the relationship between Minato Namikaze and Nawaki has become much closer. The two of them kept whispering together, and even trained and worked hard together. Jingi didn't know whether Nawaki was a prodigal son who turned over a new leaf or was worried about social death, so he got together with the little yellow-haired boy. "Don't do these things, come over often when you have time." Nawaki is okay, Kushina doesn't have many friends and is usually lonely. Yes. Minato Namikaze scratched his head embarrassedly. This habit of his is exactly the same as Jiraiya's. Jiraiya also likes to scratch his head when he is embarrassed or awkward to pick his toes. Oh, and he also does this when he lies. When Jingi finished washing up and walked out of the bathroom, he heard Naoki shouting in the yard. Chapter 56. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were so busy that they had to work together. Washing his face with the towel on his shoulders, Jingi walked to the door, leaned against the door frame, and looked at the two little guys in the yard who were training to throw kunai. Sometimes the age difference of 2 or 3 years does not prevent the two parties from becoming good friends. What is lacking is just the opportunity. Compared with the age difference between Nawaki and Namikaze Minato, which is already very good, the future Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi will have a bigger age difference, but the two are both teachers and friends. Unfortunately, Uchiha Shisui successfully led Uchiha Itachi astray. A smart child like Uchiha Itachi should not be instilled with too many perverse ideas. Once instilled, let him grow up thinking about these things in his mind. He will go on the road of deviation and never return. Nawaki and Minato Namikaze played together. Jingi was fine and didn't have any thoughts. Tsunade was relieved. She didn't care that her brother had more friends. She cared that her brother couldn't make trouble all day long. Minato. After the two of them trained for a while, Jingi waved to the little yellow-haired boy during the break. Minato Namikaze was stunned for a moment and ran over. "Senior, are you looking for me?" "Don't be nervous, sit down and talk." Jingi motioned him to sit down. Nawaki followed him carelessly and sat down with Minato Namikaze's shoulders. He was very curious about what Jingi wanted to find his friend for. They were obviously friends of Kushina, but they got to know each other. After getting familiar with each other, Nawaki's relationship with Minato Namikaze became better than Kushina's. Minato Namikaze had to sit down obediently. After he sat down, Jingi asked, "Do you have any plans for the new year? If you don't have any other plans, come to my house to celebrate the new year together. It will be more lively with more people." "Ah." Minato Namikaze was confused. "Invite me to celebrate the new year together?" Great. Nawoshu clapped his hands and stood up, saying happily, Minato is the only one at home. He will be alone during the new year. It's just right for him to come to our place. We can be together and it will be more lively with more people. The sudden invitation made Minato Namikaze flustered. The little yellow-haired boy was a little nervous and didn't know whether to agree or refuse. This was the first time someone invited him to celebrate the new year. Okay, forget me, it's settled, go and have a rest. Seeing that Minato Namikaze was somewhat tempted but was too embarrassed to agree, Jinyi simply decided on this matter. Ha ha ha, great. Nawoshu laughed loudly and pulled Minato Namikaze away. After the two children left, Tsunade came down from upstairs, hugged Jinyi's waist from behind, and put her chin on Jinyi's shoulder. Do you think highly of this kid? Tsunade felt that Jinyi invited Minato Namikaze not just for fun, but for other purposes. This kid is good. As long as he doesn't take the wrong path, he will definitely become a strong man. I think highly of him. Is he a civilian genius? Like Orochimaru? Not really. Jinyi recalled the growth experience of the little yellow-haired boy and said, it can be regarded as a combination of Orochimaru and Jiraiya. He is not as amazing as Orochimaru, but he is steadily improving his strength. It is true that the little yellow-haired boy is a genius, but his initial growth is indeed not as amazing as Orochimaru. It can be said that in the entire Konoha, there may be only two geniuses who can reach the level of Orochimaru when he was a child, that is, Kakashi and Uchiha Itachi. Unfortunately, Kakashi's upper limit is not high, and Uchiha Itachi's life can almost be described as a tragedy. The little yellow-haired boy may not be so amazing in the early stage, but his steady growth pace can raise his upper limit step by step. But he died a little early. Not as amazing as Orochimaru, but he can steadily move forward. Tsunade frowned. As a classmate and partner of Orochimaru, she knew very well how terrible this guy's talent was. Is it a bit exaggerated? Exaggerated? The little yellow-haired boy grew up and easily beat Orochimaru. Well, the amazing thing about this kid is that his talent is getting more and more terrible as he grows up. It seems that there is no upper limit. What's that look in your eyes? Am I wrong? Okay, you are so optimistic about this kid, then I want to see where his upper limit is in the future. Since you are optimistic about him, you can accept him as your disciple. I just think highly of him, which does not mean that I want to accept the little yellow-haired boy as a disciple. Even if he wants to, the third Hokage probably won't agree. Don't look at the third Hokage. The Hokage is not a very good person, but he is really good at judging people. Jing opened her mouth, but finally chose to give up. Seeing this, Tsunade said no more and got up and walked towards the bathroom. Is Kushina still awake? Not yet, the little girl is sleeping in. She said she wanted to eat ramen. By the way, it was the ramen you made yourself. You are still in bed, and you are ordering food? Shingshu, why do you think the senior invited me to celebrate the new year together? Beside the training river, Namikaze Minato scratched his head. How should I know? Shingshu threw a few firewood into the fire and turned the fish caught from the river over. Maybe. My sister said he is full of bad water, but he is very good at judging people. He should be optimistic about your talent. Shingshu doesn't like to use his brain to think about these questions, but since it concerns his friends, he still tries to think about it. Suddenly, Nawaki's eyes lit up. Minato, why don't you worship Jinyi as your teacher? My sister said that he is a medical ninja on the surface, but he is actually very powerful. With a teacher as a backer, you will not be bullied in school. Is this what I am talking about? When the word backer was mentioned, the little yellow-haired boy couldn't help but think of the scene of Kushina's first day of school. After beating up her classmates, she yelled, "My sister is Tsunade." The teacher was scared and dared not move. However, it seems to be good to have a backer. In addition to not being afraid of being bullied, you can also learn a lot of things that you can't learn in ninja schools. His relationship with Nawaki became close all of a sudden. The main reason is that Namikaze Minato found that Nawaki knew a lot of knowledge that the teacher didn't teach, so he wanted to ask for advice. Nawaki felt very accomplished, so he taught him seriously. As a result, the relationship between the two became better, teacher. But the senior is a medical ninja, rope tree shouldn't lie to me, right? Is the senior very strong? But it shouldn't be easy to become the senior's disciple. Oh no! The fish is about to burn. Soon, the burnt smell made the two boys panic. The two were very glad that the grilled fish could still be saved, but when they saved the grilled fish and planned to fill their stomachs, the two took a bite and their faces changed. Ugh, it's so disgusting. Ahahaha, it seems that we didn't bring any seasoning, so it's fishy. Little yellow hair, you did it on purpose. Little shoo, I really didn't mean to, I just forgot to bring it. Bah, I don't believe your nonsense, and don't call me shoo, it's so ugly. Then don't call me little yellow hair is also ugly. After eating and drinking, Tsunade walked slowly towards the Hokage office building. My dears, please give me some free gifts when you urge for more updates. There will be more updates. Chapter 57. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The new year is approaching, but the third Hokage is still busy. Even on New Year's Eve, he will work in the office until late before going home. Tsunade, do you have something to ask me? Nothing, I just want to ask the old man for someone. Anyone? That the third Hokage didn't understand who Tsunade wanted. Sitting on the sofa, Tsunade leaned against the sofa backrest and crossed her legs. Isn't it that Rope Tree is about to graduate? I plan to let Jiraiya be his teacher and take him to carry out missions. Kushina's friends happen to come to visit my house. Jinyi thought that the little guy named Namake's Minato was not bad, so he wanted to try his hand at being a teacher. I'll help him find someone. The third Hokage. Do you want to be so frivolous? You want to be a teacher just because you want to. As soon as you open your mouth, you want to take away the good seedling that I have high hopes for. Although they are all considered to be the first Hokage, there are now factions in the first Hokage. The F4 group is headed by Tsunade, supplemented by Akimichi Tofu, and some family combinations behind them, a child who is quite talented. The third Hokage is struggling. After thinking about it, he said helplessly. Okay, then let Jinyi be his teacher, but didn't you plan to give Rope Tree to Orochimaru? How did it become Jiraiya? Ahem. Tsunade coughed. Orochimaru is busy. That guy went into the laboratory and didn't show up for a month or two. It's strange that Rope Tree can stay there. In addition, he likes to get together with Jiraiya, so I have to ask Jiraiya for help. Tsunade couldn't tell the third-generation Hokage that Jinyi was more optimistic about Jiraiya, so after several persuasions, she changed her mind, leaving Rope Tree to Jiraiya. Orochimaru should continue his research, pick up the pipe on the table, light it, and take a few puffs. The third-generation Hokage said, Rope Tree and Jiraiya should get along well. How can they not get along? They are almost the same as you. Tsunade really didn't know what to say. The third Hokage took Jiraiya to peek at others taking a bath, and now it was Jiraiya's turn to take Rope Tree. Is this the true inheritance of the Hokage faction? None of them are serious. After glaring at the third Hokage, Tsunade got up and left. The third Hokage was inexplicably embarrassed because he knew why Tsunade was angry. Exhaling a puff of smoke, the third Hokage said in his heart, I finally became a Hokage and finally secured this position. What's wrong with having a little hobby? Can't the Hokage relax for a while? It seems that it's time to relax. The third Hokage took out the crystal ball and put it on the table. He stared at the crystal ball with round eyes, and didn't know what he was looking at. After returning home, Tsunade sat on the sofa and said to Jinyi, It's done. The old man asked for someone to come over. Come on, I'm counting on you. Tsunade held Kushina in her arms and rubbed her a few times. Kushina asked curiously, Sister Tsunade, what's done? That you really are, I just said that, and you really went to ask for someone. Jinyi didn't know whether to laugh or cry about this. Jinyi said that he was very optimistic about Minato's talent, so I helped him and asked Minato to come over as his disciple. Tsunade said while pinching Kushina's face and pulling it to both sides. Kushina kept protesting. When Minato Namikaze heard the news, He was stunned. I really became a disciple of the senior. Suddenly, it felt like a pie fell from the sky and hit his head. Teacher. The little yellow-haired boy was a little nervous and embarrassed when he called for someone for the first time. Jinyi smiled and patted his head. Don't be nervous, train hard, I believe you will achieve great success in the future. Yes, teacher. This is my New Year's gift to you. If you have any problems or difficulties in the future, come to the teacher, don't hold it in your heart. Jinyi took out the ninja tool bag he prepared in advance and handed it to Minato Namikaze. When the little guy was training with Nawaki, he looked at Nawaki's ninja tool bag with envy. Even if it was hidden very deep, Jinyi still noticed it, so he took advantage of the new year to prepare a new one for him. The ninja tool bag is not valuable, but the various ninja tools inside are valuable. Don't look at the training of the protagonists in Naruto. Kunai, shuriken, and detonating talismans are thrown like they don't cost money, and throwing them out is enough, and it's not worth it. I didn't consider recycling, in fact, except for those ninjas with capital, ordinary ninjas. Don't dare to play like this, not to mention during training, even on the battlefield, you have to look for ninja tools that can still be used. Not every ninja is so rich. Namikaze Minato belongs to the category of those who are poor. Take it. Namikaze Minato was a little embarrassed, and Jinyi stuffed the ninja tool bag into his arms. What about me, what about me? Nawaki jumped up and asked for a New Year's gift. And me? Kushina ran over, jumped high, and hung on Jinyi's back. Be careful of falling. Jinyi had no choice but to take out all the New Year's gifts. Kushina's New Year's gift was a set of jewelry, which was of average price. The little rich woman was not short of money, nor did she need expensive gifts. What she needed was the thought. Jinyi, you are so nice. I like the gift very much. After receiving the gift, Kushina was so happy that she couldn't close her mouth. She happily ran to Tsunade to show off. Seeing the little girl showing off the gift in front of her, Tsunade kept rolling her eyes. Nawoshu, this is yours. A box. Thank you. Nawoshu grinned happily and opened the box excitedly. The moment the box was opened, the smile on his face slowly solidified, and his eyes had lost color. What gift did Jinyi prepare for Nawoshu? How did Nawoshu become like this? Out of curiosity, Tsunade and Kushina came over, and even Namikaze Minato stretched his neck to take a peek. A thick stack of test papers. Are you a devil? Tsunade looked at her brother with sympathy. Kushina's mouth became O-shaped. The little yellow-haired boy scratched his head, wanting to laugh but not daring to laugh, so he could only hold it back hard. The hands holding the test paper began to exert force, and the fingers turned white, and the hands trembled slightly. Why? Nomshu, who usually laughed and laughed, was directly broken at this moment. He didn't care about the embarrassment and screamed at the top of his voice. Why is Minato's gift a ninja tool bag? Kushina's gift is a set of accessories, and my New Year's gift is this. It's simply inhuman. Don't you know that my academic performance is very poor? You bought me this, do you want me to die? Chapter 58. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them laughed, and the two of them laughed. Ha ha ha. Tsunade bent over with laughter. Kushina also laughed. Minato Namikaze saw that both of them laughed, so he joined in. Wow. Bullying. Nawaki cried even more sadly. He didn't like the gifts, and the worst thing was that he didn't dare to throw them away, because he knew Tsunade would force him to do it. When he thought about finishing all these papers, Nawaki wanted to die. Ahem. Jinyi couldn't stop laughing. Seeing that Nawase was crying more and more sadly, he stopped laughing and took out a brand new ninja tool bag. Okay, stop crying. Your gift is the same as Minato's. The test paper is just for fun. Jinyi is of course not a devil, nor does he deliberately want to mess with Nawase. He bought the test paper just to tease him. The critical damage of the test paper is indeed great, and the effect is a bit outstanding. It directly made Nawase cry. That's about right. Seeing the ninja tool bag, Nawase, who was crying, grinned, quickly threw away the scroll, snatched the ninja tool bag and held it in his arms, ignoring the tears and snot on his face, and raised his head to the little yellow-haired boy. I have one too. Are you childish? Find a child younger than you to show off your New Year's gift. After patting Rope Tree on the head in a bad mood, Jinyi took out the last box and threw it to Tsunade. Although I wanted to buy you a gift, I think you need this more. What do you need? After laughing for a long time, Tsunade, who had a stomachache, didn't expect that she also had a gift. Out of curiosity, she opened the box. She didn't need to worry about a stack of test papers popping out of the box, because she, Princess Tsunade, didn't need these at all. Damn! The moment the box was opened, Tsunade cursed. Jinyi originally wanted to buy a gift for Tsunade, but then she thought that this girl had already lost all her salary, so it would be better to give her money directly instead of buying her a gift, so she used a gift box and put some money in it as a gift. Sure enough, seeing this gift, Tsunade became more excited than Rope Tree. If there weren't three little brats around, Tsunade really wanted to pounce on her and reward Jinyi with 2 kisses. He really understands her, he's just short of money. Immediately, she brought money as a gift. Okay, the gifts have been received, let's get ready to eat. After distributing the gifts, Jinyi clapped her hands. A group of people gathered around the table and prepared to eat. No. Just when everyone was about to start eating, Xingshu suddenly said, Sister, among us, you are the oldest, shouldn't you give us gifts? How come you are the one receiving gifts? Ka. Tsunade's face changed, and the chopsticks in her hand turned into sawdust. Silly child, you are talking about something that is not related to the topic, right? Gulp. After swallowing nervously, Xingshu felt that he had said something he shouldn't have said. You kid deserve to be punished. You shut up when you get the gift, and you go to your sister. I'm afraid you have never been beaten. Your sister is so poor that she only has a few coins in her pocket. What gifts do you want to give? Give each person a coin. Ah. Sister, I was wrong, stop hitting me, it hurts. All the countries and villages in the ninja world are celebrating the new year with lights and colors, except for the Rain Country. The ninjas from Konoha, Sand Village, and Rock Village. Entering the Rain Country is a disaster for the people of the Rain Country. At first, everyone could control it, but as time went on, some ninjas began to become dishonest. Sir, according to the information collected, some ninjas appeared in several villages in the west and robbed a lot of things. This is the 6th time this month. Bang! Listening to the report from his subordinates, Hanzo slammed the table in anger. The invasion of the 3 major ninja villages has made the situation in the Rain Country chaotic. Now, ninjas from some villages have begun to turn their attention to the people of the Rain Country. According to the information investigated, most of the ninjas who took action came from the Sand Village, followed by the Rock Village. The ninjas from Konoha are still quite obedient. Everyone, get out of here. I will handle this matter myself. Hanzo the Salamander was very angry. He flattered the 3rd Kazekage and asked for cooperation, but the other party asked him to be a dog. Not only did he humiliate people, but he also allowed the ninjas of the village to do whatever they wanted and robbed the civilians of their property and food before the war started. Sand Village and Rock Village. The ninjas of this country are so poor that they still come to the land of rain to hang around. Did they calculate that Hanzo of the Salamander dare not get angry? This is really too much. After sending his subordinates away, Hanzo of the Salamander walked around the office in annoyance, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Since you don't take the people of the land of rain seriously, then I will help you. Not only was he humiliated, but the other party was also pushing him. Hanzo of the Salamander could not bear it anymore. At present, the ninjas of the 3 villages of Konoha, Sand Village, and Rock Village are relatively calm. Even if the smell of gunpowder is strong, there is no idea of a large-scale conflict. Small frictions continue, and small fights continue. Hanzo of the Salamander decided to add fuel to the fire. Since the war will come sooner or later, let's muddy the water first. If I don't have a good time, you can't run away. Hanzo of the Salamander gathered a group of subordinates with good strength and quietly left the Rain Village. That night, several patrol teams from Konoha and Sand Village disappeared quietly. The disappearance of the patrol team attracted the attention of both sides. Konoha and Sand Village sent people to explore the area where the patrol team disappeared, and the two sides bumped into each other. The people of the two villages did not give in to each other, which directly led to an intensified conflict. After triggering a conflict, Salamander Hanzo continued to focus on the ninjas of Sand Village. Without a strong man, the ninja team of Sand Village could hardly stop Salamander Hanzo's hunting. Slowly, the damage to Sand Village continued to increase. The leader who entered the rain country realized that something was wrong and sent the news back to the village as soon as possible. Konoha also encountered a lot of troubles. Many ninjas from Sand Village launched a siege in the rain country. As a result, several ninja teams disappeared in a confused manner, so the people on Konoha also sent the news back to the village. Tsunade got out of the quilt reluctantly, and left the warm bed unwillingly. On the way to the Hokage office building, she kept yawning. It was still the meeting room from last time, but the seats in the meeting room were adjusted a lot. Akimichi Tofu, the assistant of the Hokage, did not sit next to the third Hokage, but sat next to Tsunade. Some family ninjas headed by the three families of Ino, Shika, and Cho also sat here. The leader of the senior ninja class also changed from Nara Shikashin to Sarutobi Matsuda, like the young patriarch of the Uchiha clan who had not grown up yet. This Sarutobi Matsuda was also a poker face, keeping a cold face all year round, and almost no other expression could be seen on his face. Everyone who should come has come. The third Hokage signaled Sarutobi Matsuda to send the copied information. Everyone, the situation in the rain country has begun to change. The Sand Village has frequently invaded the area we occupy. Many teams that went out on patrol and on missions have been sacrificed. Everyone opened the intelligence in their hands and soon realized that the situation seemed to have become complicated. Ahaha, can't the Sand Village hold back? Chapter 59. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was very angry. I went out to fool around all night last night, but was called to a meeting before I could catch up on my sleep. Jiraiya looked listless, and his white hair looked very messy. There was a lot of strange smell on his body, which made Orochimaru, who was sitting next to him, look at him with disgust. The Sand Village is really too much. Before Jiraiya finished speaking, he was blocked back. Looking at the furious Koharu Yutane, he wanted to say something but stopped, and chose to swallow back what he had not finished. Before becoming the three ninjas, Jiraiya and Orochimaru did not have much say in the village. If it weren't for their strong enough strength and the fact that they were disciples of the third Hokage, they probably wouldn't be qualified to participate in such a meeting. So what he wanted to say was interrupted. Jiraiya hesitated for a moment, and chose to remain silent. Forget it, just watch the performance of Elder Yutane Koharu. Why interrupt? Jiraiya comforted himself in his heart, raised his head and saw Orochimaru glanced at him sideways, and then turned his head away in disdain. No, what do you mean, Orochimaru? They first provoked us in the land of rivers, and after the village responded, they dared to surround and kill the people in the village. Are they trying to provoke a war between the two villages? That when he was young, Yutane Koharu was more impatient and more irritable. As soon as he opened his mouth, he put the blame on the Sand Village. Is there any misunderstanding? Tsunade will not indulge Koharu Yutane. After reading the intelligence information, she thought for a while and interrupted. I always feel that something is wrong. Even if the Sand Village can't wait to take action, there is no need to escalate the provocation. Once or twice is a provocation, but every time is like this. Is it still a provocation? Tsunade's words made Koharu Yutane a little unhappy. She thought her analysis was correct. The Sand Village did this on purpose, and the purpose was to provoke a war between the two villages. Did this old woman eat gunpowder today? Or is it because of relatives that she is so angry? Tsunade frowned and was about to refute, seeing that the atmosphere was a bit wrong. Akimichi Tofu, who was caught in the middle, hurriedly said. I think Tsunade's words make sense, but no matter what, it's the fault of the Sand Village. All the conflicts were provoked by them. We need to be prepared for the outbreak of war. You're right. Tsunade thought about it and nodded, and stopped talking. Regardless of whether there is a trick, the situation has come to this point. All the village can do is to be prepared for everything, including war. The Sand Village has already taken advantage of it, which is unbearable for Konoha. Konoha will not take the initiative to launch a foreign war, which does not mean that if you slap me, I will endure it and then turn the other side to you. Konoha at this time will not show weakness to the outside world, nor will it make the kind of humiliating concessions after the Third Ninja World War. Ahem. The third Hokage, who was sitting at the head of the group, coughed and put down his pipe. Tsunade and Koharu's analysis are both reasonable, but Fatty is right in saying that the village must be prepared for everything. Everyone, war may break out at any time. Please prepare for the worst in all departments. Whether it is a misunderstanding or an escalation of provocation, everything depends on the actions of the Sand Village. If there is a misunderstanding, the Sand Village will definitely remain stable, and if Konoha maintains a certain degree of patience, the situation will stabilize. If the Sand Village continues to send more people into the Rain Country, in this case, right or wrong is no longer important. Because this means that the Sand Village will fight Konoha. The senior ninja squad will dispatch a group of ninjas, including enough medical ninjas, who will be ready to leave the village at any time and go to the Rain Country for support. The medical department and the logistics department must also cooperate well. War cannot be fought at will. Personnel adjustment and conscription must be prepared in advance. Various logistics and medical supplies must also be prepared in advance. Rather than waiting for the outbreak of war to find a solution, it is not a good idea to build a toilet only when you have a stomachache. The logistics department will make all preparations. Mito Kato-en replied. The third Hokage glanced at Akimichi Tofu, who lowered his head. Don't look at me, don't ask me. The medical department will also prepare the supplies needed for the war, and a group of medical ninjas can be dispatched to the Rain Country at any time. Tsunade stood up on behalf of the medical department and issued words. It is true that the medical system is in the hands of Akimichi Tofu, but Akimichi Tofu is just a person who was pushed up. In fact, the power of the medical system is in Tsunade, one is in name, the other is in reality. Can Tsunade go in person? Sarutobi Matsuda, the leader of the senior ninja squad, asked. When a war breaks out with the Sand Village, a medical ninja of sufficient weight will be needed on the front line, and Tsunade happens to be the most suitable candidate. People who are familiar with the Sand Village know that the puppet ninjas of the Sand Village are basically experts in playing poison. If there is no medical ninja with strong medical skills and good at configuring medicines, Konoha's sacrifice will reach a terrible level. As soon as the words came out, Tsunade hesitated. I can't answer this question for you now. I will notify you before the village reinforcements go to the battlefield. Is Tsunade unwilling to go to the front line? Sarutobi Matsuda glanced at the third Hokage, who took the initiative to take over the topic. Tsunade, if the war breaks out, I hope you can go to the front line and take charge of the front camp. I'll think about it. Tsunade did not give the third Hokage a clear answer because he had to go back and discuss it with Shizuka. If Shizuka hadn't reminded her, she would definitely agree to go straight to the front line. The meeting ended quickly, and Tsunade handed over the matter of adjusting the supplies of the medical department to Akimichi Tuka, and returned home. When she got home, Tsunade told Shizuka about the content of the meeting. After listening, Jinny thought for a while and said, it feels a bit strange that the conflict escalated. Is there someone deliberately guiding it, trying to escalate the conflict between the two villages? I also think it's strange, but what Fatty said makes sense. No matter how the conflict escalates, we must be prepared to face the war. Tsunade has also considered the question that Jinny is thinking about, and even most of the people sitting in the conference room have thought about it, but only Tsunade said it in person. Jiraiya didn't want to argue with Yutane Koharu, and the others saw that Tsunade took the lead, so they simply kept it to themselves. Tsunade asked in confusion, if someone really deliberately guided it, who would it be? Rock Village or Rain Village? They are all suspected. Under the premise that there is no handle, I think the probability of Rain Village is higher. Between Rock Village and Rain Village, Jinny thinks that Rain Village is more suspicious. After all, Salamander Hanzo is not a particularly easy-to-talk person, otherwise he would not have declared war on Konoha, Sand Village, and Rock Village directly after the war broke out. My dears, please click here for the free gifts. Chapter 60. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The truth is that the conflict is not over yet. If it was Hanzo's fault, why did he lead the conflict? You know, after the conflict escalates, war can happen at any time. When the war breaks out, the first to suffer is the Rain country, which has become a battlefield for the great powers. Is Hanzo planning to break the jar and break the jar? I can't figure it out, and after shaking my head, Jing said. Akimichi Tofu is right. Whether it is the Sand Village that deliberately escalates the provocation or someone leads the conflict to escalate, the final possibility is that war will break out. The village really needs to be prepared. However, you shouldn't go to the front line. Why? Tsunade asked puzzled. Jinyi said seriously, if it is from the perspective of the village, you should go to the front line, but if it is from our perspective, you can't go to the front line, because you need to stay in the village. As long as the situation continues to escalate, I am afraid that Shimura Danzo will be activated. Letting you stay in the village is to guard against this. As for Shimura Danzo, it is better to let him stay in prison. The situation heats up and the war breaks out. Given the character of the third Hokage, Shimura Danzo will definitely be activated and pulled out of prison. It is better for a sinister and ambitious man like Shimura Danzo to stay in prison, so as to avoid jumping around. The damage is not high, but it is just disgusting. Because of Kushina, Shimura Danzo went to warn Jinyi, which led to the dissatisfaction of Uzumaki Mito, and thus Shimura Danzo lost the position of assistant to the Hokage. Even if it is a position without power, it is a high position. From the fact that he persuaded Hanzo of the Salamander to assassinate him, it can be seen that Shimura Danzo hates him to the core. Not to mention, Uzumaki Mito pushed Akimichi Tofu up and split the Hokage faction into two. Once Shimura Danzo comes out, he will definitely find ways to target them. What about the front line? Tsunade knew Jinyi's concerns, and also knew that Shimura Danzo was a difficult man. In the past, he had her grandmother to deter him. Now that her grandmother is gone, as long as the third Hokage does not deal with him, Shimura Danzo will be a disaster. She stayed in the village and could prevent the third Hokage from using Shimura Danzo. Once he went to the front line, he would definitely not take care of these things. Akimichi Tofu, the unlucky and miserable face man, could not stop the third Hokage at all. I'll go. After weighing it, Jinyi chose to go by himself, and Tsunade stayed in the village. He went to the front line instead of Tsunade, at most affecting Tsunade's reputation. But did Tsunade need this thing? Not at all. As for the glory of the three ninjas, it is pure nonsense. The title of the three ninjas is not a glory but a shame for Tsunade, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya. If the three of them defeated Hanzo of the Salamander, the other party would be convinced and respectfully called them the three ninjas, but the ending was that the Rain village was defeated, but Hanzo of the Salamander defeated the alliance of the three and casually gave them the title of the three ninjas. Isn't this pure disgusting? Jinyi smiled and said, maybe the war is also an opportunity for me. I have to work hard, make more contributions, and gain more military exploits, so that people will pay attention to me, so that no one will think that I, Hyuga Jinyi, am just a pure Phoenix man who can be stepped on by anyone. Phoenix man? What does that mean? It means to be famous by relying on women. Tsunade was stunned for a moment, and then her expression began to change. Puff. Ha ha ha, sorry, I couldn't help it, because it's too real, ha ha ha, I laughed to death. If you can't bear it anymore, then don't bear it, just laugh first. This can't be blamed on Tsunade. In fact, Jinyi's growth history is like this. First, he met Tsunade valued him, and then taught him hand in hand, and grew up step by step. Then Kushina liked to get close to him, and finally Uzumaki Mito was optimistic about him. Tsunade, Kushina, Uzumaki Mito, three people, all three are women, or three women with special identities. It's not surprising that others regard Jinyi as a Phoenix man. Jinyi doesn't mind being a freeloader, but that doesn't mean he likes others looking at him the same way they look at a Phoenix man. Plus, it's more beneficial for him to have Tsunade in charge of the village, so he can only go to the battlefield in her place. Although he's going to the battlefield in her place, Jinyi won't charge into battle on the battlefield like Tsunade, using the title of medical ninja, since he's a medical ninja, he should just do his job well. Why risk his life? Besides being a medical ninja, he also needs to fight. Life is at stake, otherwise it is better to stay in the camp and save people and treat illnesses. The Sand Village is also holding a meeting on the escalation of the conflict in the Rain Village. Compared with Konoha, the atmosphere of the meeting in the Sand Village is much more intense. The third generation of Kazekage, known as the strongest Kazekage, is an ambitious man. He wants to lead the village to become stronger step by step and surpass other villages. Unfortunately, the Wind Country is too poor, and the population and resources are restricted everywhere. The current development of the Sand Village has fallen into a vicious circle. Without enough resources and population, the development has stagnated. The only way to break this vicious circle is to start a war and plunder the resources of other countries and villages to supply the development of the Sand Village. It would be even better if a large area of land rich in resources could be occupied. And the Fire Country has always been a big fat piece of meat in the eyes of the Sand Village. The so-called demigod. The third generation of Kazekage smiled disdainfully and threw the information on the table. Compared with the suspicion of Konoha, the Sand Village directly locked the suspect. The salamander Hanzo, you were given the opportunity to be a dog, but you didn't cherish it and played such a trick in secret. However, Hanzo's tricks helped the Sand Village. The third Kazekage has always wanted to break the deadlock, but he needs to consider the opinions of the daimyo mansion. Now, the conflict has escalated, and it was not the initiative of the Sand Village. Whether it was Hanzo's or Konoha's initiative, sending this message to the daimyo mansion would shut the daimyo's mouth. After shutting the daimyo's mouth, get the daimyo support, and then, looking at the map of the Land of Fire, the third Kazekage's eyes began to become hot. The Land of Fire has too many resources needed by the Sand Village. As long as there are these resources, the development of the Sand Village will continue to progress, breaking the upper limit of development and becoming stronger step by step. Chiyo, send a message to the daimyo mansion. The third Kazekage gave Chiyo a look. Chiyo said, I won't let you down, Master Kazekage. She understood what the third Kazekage meant, and exaggerated the situation, saying that Konoha was bullying others too much, actively provoking conflicts, and wanted to start a war, and sent all the remarks to the daimyo's mansion to provoke the daimyo's sense of crisis and anger. As long as they get the support of the daimyo, the Sand Village will be able to take the initiative.